Presidential candidate of the African Democratic Congress, ADC Dumebi Kachikwu, has called on Nigerians not to vote to draw off the APC and the PDP during the 2023 elections. Kachikwu, who had been having a running battle with his national leadership of his party over the continued stay in office after tenure expiration, said the two dominant parties have run the country aground in the last 2 decades of their leadership. He lamented that the country has continued to lag behind in all indices of development since 1999. When PDP assumed power, which it handed over to APC in 2015, the ADC standard-bearer accused both parties of ruining the economy and impoverishing Nigerians, with living conditions becoming unbearable and nosediving negatively on a daily basis. Joining us now on this show to discuss preparations of the ADC, African Democratic Congress, ahead of the 2023 elections, is Dumebi Kachikwu, the presidential candidate of the ADC. Great to talk to you, Dumebi Kachikwu. A lot of people are saying you're pointing fingers at the two political parties when your party has not been able to get their acts together. I think at some point you were suspended. There was hula baloo back and forth about fraud and corruption in your party. And your party is not different from the parties you're accusing. It's all the way it is in Nigerian politics. What makes you different?
Well, I'm different because I refuse to have a structure that's not proper in my party. You can't go to Nigerians and tell Nigerians you are bringing change to them and your party is more of the same. So when I had a situation where the tenure of the past NWC had expired, I made clear that I will stand on the Constitution, that irrespective of whose ox is God, I will stand and defend the Constitution of my party, that's what I did. And yes, you said hula baloo, that's what happened. There was a lot of hula baloo, but eventually INEC's position was clear. The tenure had expired and we've since moved on. Right now we're here gearing up for elections. So there's a clear-cut difference between my party and the other two parties you mentioned.
Yeah, but when you say that you've since moved on, where precisely are you and where are you moving to? We know that at the beginning of September, first you were suspended, and then later, they said that you were expelled from the party, the Rafun Wusu, NWC, etc. The INEC has confirmed that you are the candidate of the party, but then things are not normal. Where precisely is the party, and have you taken over, as the, if you like, as the leader of the party?
Okay, there's always a candidate or the presidential candidate, and there's the party structure. My job is not to run the party structure. The tenure of the immediate past NWC has lapsed. INEC has made their position clear. The party is now preparing for a convention sometime next month to usher in a new NWC. That's the state of affairs in the party. INEC having made their position clear, it behoves on me and other well-meaning individuals in the party to bring the different sides together, which is what we are doing. We are talking amongst ourselves. I know there are people who will feel hurt. Obviously, when you've been in a position for 17 years and all of a sudden things are it's not business as usual, nobody's going to be happy. But again, we have done what is right by the party and by all party members. And we're now moving on to face the serious business of the campaign. So we are good. We're in a good place. The party is in a good place right now.
So Patricia Kwashiki is only running the affairs of the party on an interim basis?
Correct. She's the BOT chairman, and she's so when there's a vacuum or lacuna, the Constitution only recognizes her position, and INEC will only deal with her. So she's preparing a convention so that in the next few weeks we can have a new leadership to run the affairs of the party.
You say you're different, but there are allegations of tax fraud against you in America. Can you explain to me what's going on as regards that?
Okay, there are no allegations of tax fraud. What simply happened was that in America, I looked at my tax filings, this was about 7-8 years ago, and I felt like that my tax filings did not adequately represent my income. So I wrote to the tax authorities asking to have a review, essentially asking for them to have an upward review because I felt there was a mistake. So from asking for an upward review where I was paying about $500,000, the tax authorities came back and assessed me about $11 million. And I then got into this battle with them over the years, over the last 8 years or so, and went back and forth. And from that time, the tax, I took the tax down to about $1.7 million. Obviously, in tax matters, you have several strategies to how to bring your taxes back. For me, at this point, my lawyers advise that essentially accept the position now, which is what I did. Let them enter judgment based on that position. And when that happens, then you can then further negotiate based on if you're collectible or not. So that's not a case of tax fraud. People misrepresented that, but obviously anything will happen in an election season where you have people who are for you and people who are against you, and they will use any information to their advantage.
All right, I wouldn't want to belabor the point of the internal wranglings within your party. But then how do you think that a Kingsley Moghalu will be feeling today, the gentleman that you defeated in June during the primaries? Don't you think that given the fact that he was popular and he was a frontliner, you will need to quickly bring the party back on track, especially winning those who seem to be against you, so that people don't, say that maybe we should have given this thing to Professor Moghalu. How in specific terms will you therefore ensure that the ADC becomes one party again and a strong party before going into the elections in February? More so that the campaigns are starting tomorrow.
Okay, tell you what, you always have people who have democratic credentials, people who win or lose, they will stay with the party, stick with the party. You always have those people who will leave the party when they lose, and you cannot really do anything about it. We just have to try our best to try and hold the party together, keep everybody under one roof, but you cannot force people to stay under one roof. As a party, we've done our best to unite all factions, and we've done that. We continue to do that because issues will always arise. At this point, as a party, we're about to make history being the only lesser-known party to do a nationwide campaign. We're embarking on a nationwide campaign where we're going to go to every state in Nigeria. It's a mammoth effort, a mammoth undertaking, and so it's a lot for us. That's what we are concentrating on doing right now, getting all the party faithful to unite behind this endeavor, thinking about all the issues we will face as we embark on this journey. Of course, you are aware of all the security challenges that are out there, worrying what is wise to do and what's not wise to do, thinking of how you're going to spin your message to Nigerians, understanding that you are dealing with a body polity that obviously knows or thinks that brand names, those who they've had their names for decades, are the only ones who are best suited to run the affairs of the country. Trying to ensure that no matter what happens, we stick to this script, we make this campaign about issues so that Nigerians understand what the issues are. As the presidential candidate of the African Democratic Congress, I have one duty, and that duty is to make sure that by the time we go to the polls next year, I will have given Nigerians an alternative. I will have ensured that I proffered solutions to most of our problems, so that Nigerians, if they decide that they want to go for more of the same, then they made a deliberate decision to go for more of the same, having heard me and heard my party, what we have to offer. But if I choose not to go on this campaign, if I don't show myself, if I don't take the opportunity to let Nigerians hear me, then you can't blame Nigerians for going for more of the same. So I have to go out there and let Nigerians hear me, let Nigerians see me. That's my job.
All right, you keep saying you are different from the Lord, you are fresh of breath air, but there's another query here about a case of a 750 million, case you had with Ndidi Elumelu then. That was the Chairman House of Representatives Committee on Health. And about helping somebody to win governorship elections in Delta and the likes, when the person's in PDP and all of that. Can you expatiate on that? Because, Nigerians want to know, since you say you're a breath of fresh air.
There was no such case. It
was listed in the Vanguard newspaper of the 17th of January 2015. You can check.
That's why I said that it was just a mere allegation. It was listed in the Vanguard. I was never charged to court. They investigated the case. They threw out the case as having no substance whatsoever, and that's what it is. As you are well aware, in Nigeria, if you go out there every day, you hear people making allegations in election circles, right? And when people lose, people make all sorts of allegations. So it was, again, one of those business accusations that someone made in an election season, and that's what it is.
Okay, that's clear enough. But of course, that this is political season, and so many things will be thrown at you. But I'm interested in your message to Nigerians, beyond the fact that you are saying that you are different. And I see that what you alluded to about a fringe party going into the campaigns and hoping to touch all the states, that resonates well a bit. And I think that will be coming, it will be the first one after the Sokoto rally that you had a few months ago. My question to you is, what will be at the core of your message to Nigerians when you go from north to south to west to the east, preaching as the candidate of the ADC? Will this be a spin-off what you published earlier? I think that what did you call it again? The Nigerian Patriots Act. This time around, what will be your core message to Nigerians, and why should they believe you?
My message to Nigerians is very simple. We are a nation of sinners in search of a saint. We need to first of all understand that all Nigerians were a part of the problem of this country called Nigeria. We all have to do our bits to take Nigeria forward. Anyone that's expecting that there's this saint, we're always looking for these saints, accepting that we're sinners and looking for this saint to come and solve all our problems overnight. Just, perform some magic. That is never going to happen. We are a nation that everyone is doing something every day to pull Nigeria down in our actions, in our thoughts, in our words. So we need to now say, how do we start bringing this country together? We're a nation in name, but we're not a nation in the actual fact of being a nation. Every weekend we have people who go for town meetings and what have you, discussing their towns, right? But they don't discuss Nigeria. So we first of all have to understand that we have to have a national charter that defines who we are as a people, that says that the Yoruba man, the Igala man, the Igbo man, the Bibi man, the Hausa man, what do we want out of this country called Nigeria? Accept that that is what unites all of us as a people, and then start running with that vision for this country called Nigeria. We also have to understand that all the problems that we have in Nigeria, be it sectoral problems, be it infrastructural decay, what have you, that they are problems that were created by people. And because we have this huge dichotomy between the rich and the poor, where those people who rule us, or those people who are up there, don't have these feelings for those people who are down there. So when you mention the Patriot Act, that's an act that simply states that we're all in this together. So it means that if I'm the president, if I'm governor, if I'm a House of Rep member or senator, it says that if you don't have light, I don't have light. It says that my kids go to the same schools as your kids will go to. It says that we're all going to use the same hospitals. We're all going to drive on the same roads. It says that we share in our failures and we share in our successes. If we can get this to work in Nigeria, trust me, within 6 months, everyone will ensure that Nigeria is working. 6 months, 1 year, 2 years. You see everyone doing everything possible. Imagine the child of Dangote having to go to the public school in Victoria Island. Imagine the child of Tony Elumelu. Imagine the child of the Senate president having to go to a public school. Do you think ASU will be on strike? Absolutely not. They will never be on strike. Imagine if a governor stayed 8 hours without light. Do you think we'll have power failure in Nigeria? We will not. But we have all these failures in Nigeria because the rich have an alternative to our failures. The poor have no alternative. So if we all share in our failures, we'll work towards eliminating those failures. That's what the Patriot Act says. So this is what I want to take out there to tell to Nigerian people, that this is what we must do. We must bring everyone, first of all, have a country called Nigeria where we all agree on what we want out of this country, then also proffer solutions to most of our problems. And that solution is around this Patriot Act, where people understand that everyone has to share in the problems so that we can all share in the successes of the country.
Let's talk about issues that affect Nigerians. Subsidy. What's your policy statement on subsidy? What would you do about subsidy?
Subsidy is a fraud. Subsidy is a fraud. It's a fraudulent contraption. We all know that. We don't have the willpower to deal with this. If you look at the mind-boggling numbers behind that subsidy, you know that people who make that kind of money, it's almost difficult for you to take on these people. It's a shame, it's a tragedy that in a country like Nigeria that we have no real numbers about our consumption, and that's where it starts from. Because you have no real numbers about what our consumption is, people can perpetrate a crime like this, right? So we just have to just take on this and say, you know what, enough of this. Whatever it is we're spending on that or subsidy, take out that money and use it for a social infrastructure, right? So we just have to do it. We can't keep on saying we will do it. We just have to do it. For the last how many months we're dealing with the cost of diesel being at almost 700 naira. It's our reality, right? We can't keep on subsidizing the rich whilst the poor are suffering. So we just have to do what needs to be done. Take it out.
So when you take it out, how would you buffer for the attendant risk and inflationary pressures that comes with it? What would you do?
That's why I said use the money for social infrastructure. When the Jonathan government initially tried to take out subsidy, first thing they started doing was buying mass transit buses, looking at where they would put the money to cushion the effects on the poor, the less privileged, and what have you. That is what we must do. When we start doing that, at some point we'll have an equilibrium. But we must do that. A nation like Nigeria cannot afford to stay in this lacuna where we don't think that it's important to invest in social infrastructure that takes care of the weak, the elderly, the less privileged, women, or the young people. We must do that. So understand, first of all, once you say to yourself that this money doesn't get to these people, that's what you must say to yourself. It doesn't get to these people. So they're not getting it right now. Think about it. They're not getting this money right now. So it makes sense to then take that money from those who are getting the money and use that money to invest in social infrastructure across the board that benefits everyone.
All right, let's stay a little bit more on what matters to Nigerians. Today is World Tourism Day. The country of Thailand is projecting that for 2023, it will rake in a revenue of about $65 billion. Thailand, like other Southeast Asian countries, depend largely on tourism. Same thing goes for many Eastern and Southern African countries in Nigeria. If you become the president, we can even take it from what your manifesto says about what will be your stand on creating alternative revenue channels for the country, using tourism, using the art and culture and entertainment, using the creative industry. What is your position? What is your policy document? And what will you do as a president if you get elected on all these areas?
I like the fact that you brought up tourism. Those of you who are in Lagos, typical what happens weekend is that some people get on a boat and they go to Ilashe Beach and what have you, right? That water that you go out there, that ocean, that same water is the water that runs through several countries where they have tourism as their mainstay. That same water. But what do we have? We have some villagers who hold on to the land. They say they won't sell, they will lease for people to come and build beach houses, right? So serious investors can come in there because they don't want to sell the land. And obviously the government there is not really serious or does not, I mean, they are making money from taxes and water fees, they're not really serious about making money from tourism. As the president of Nigeria, I will ensure that our coastal front, all that land out there that will pay compensation, we getting serious investors to come in there and start building resorts that will create better paying jobs for those villagers, that will bring in foreign exchange. So I will have people coming into Nigeria to utilize our resorts. Nigerians go to Ghana to use the resorts in Ghana. Same water under the same sun. So we must start showing our people what is possible. If you don't have a vision that you're showing these people, they can't see it. They need to understand that they will make much more money from good paying jobs if you create first class resorts that brings in domestic tourism and also foreign tourism. There. Last time I was here with Rufai, I mean, we talked about the arts and culture. And I was talking about, how much you generate from film.
We'll be right back.
Yeah, Rufai, thank you very much. That's nice of you. You obviously don't want me to die, so now I know that you're definitely on my side.
Thank you, Dumebi. Thank you. I'm glad.
Yes, I was talking about tourism. Thank you. I was just saying how in Nigeria we have huge tourism potentials, right? And we just don't look at this. I just talked about Lagos, Rivers State, Bayelsa, Delta State, Ondo State. They all have huge tourism potential. Even inland in the north, Plateau, Taraba, and a lot of the states, we have the same potential. But because we have just looked at oil and gas for too long as the only thing that can provide us income or foreign exchange, we've not tried to tap this potential. 9 years ago, I was in Dubai on holidays with my family. And as I wanted to check out of the hotel, that morning, they gave me a bill of about $180,000 for about 10 days there. And I was aghast. I was so upset. And I said to myself, you know what? We come here because our country does not have anything where we can go. Local or holidays, locally we can go there. So I said, since then, building a world-class resort in Abuja. Said that then, hopefully sometime next year, the first phase will be done, right? And I said, you need to give Nigerians options, right? So that we just don't travel out of Nigeria for tourism. We have huge potentials here. And they are money earners and they are job creators. Take the arts and culture.
Okay.
Rufai, last time you said to me, there's a film studio somewhere in the southwest of Nigeria. Please, I want you to look at that film village and tell me how well they are doing, what they are doing, and look at the untapped potential in that sector in Nigeria. Okay. And tell me if you don't need that 20 film villages in Nigeria.
Okay.
Nollywood is driving the conversation in most parts of Africa, even beyond Africa. What are we doing to support Nollywood? Okay. What of the music industry? Okay. What of the jobs in that sector? Sorry, you want to say something?
Yes, because we're wrapping up real quickly. I know you've said a lot about tourism, but the real question will be, all of this you said are good, but the reason why people don't go to other parts, the reason why you probably went to Dubai to spend $180,000 9 years ago was because you don't have bandits, you don't have kidnappers, you don't have insecurity in Dubai. What would you do as regards that?
Tell you what, Rufai, you are partially right. There's no country in the world that does not have security challenges. I've been to Thailand, I've been to Indonesia, I've been to Barbados, I've been to most tourist resorts all over the world, and they all have local security challenges. It's about how they are dealing with it. So the other part of your question is, What are we doing about this? In Nigeria, obviously, we don't understand the extent of our security challenges because the security agencies want the media to underreport it. But the mistake they make is that in underreporting it, the people are in this la-la land where they don't understand their real problems. Nigerians need to understand that we are a nation at war. If we all understand that, our newspapers everyday headline news will be updates on that war. We are a country that is financially or economically challenged, so we don't have the resources to throw all our resources towards funding that war. So what does that mean? It means that well-meaning individuals must start contributing towards the war effort. Beyond contributing financially, we must start volunteering to join the war effort. I also said that in the short term, we must get the civil defense and the police to contribute at least 200,000 men and women towards the war effort so that we can take the war to these people, to the bandits, to the terrorists. We have large swaths of Nigeria that we now call ungoverned spaces. And every day it's extending. The terrorists, the bandits are recruiting every day because they are getting easy cash. Our military is not recruiting at the same pace. So we must get the civil defense and the police to contribute men in the short term, understanding that it takes about 9 months to make someone a soldier, 3 years to get that soldier battle ready. So in the medium term, we need to start bringing in people, more people into the army, start training these people, understanding that this war, because the mindset we've always had about this war is that you hear a president saying, oh, the war, the terrorists have been defeated, they have been destabilized and what have you. That's not true. We must understand that this is a mindset that preys on the weakness of the government, that preys on the weakness of the people who are not able to protect themselves, and that preys on the fact that there's easy money to be made. They are going for that easy money based on our weaknesses. So we must immediately bring on more men and women. We funded a lot of equipment last year, but guess what? We funded that equipment. What of the OPEX towards that equipment? When we funded that equipment, we didn't plan for the OPEX. Diesel has gone up. President Jonathan had 100 billion naira internal security budget. That's the same budget President Buhari is still operating. 100 billion naira annually. The military get less than half of that. What was the exchange rate when Jonathan was in power? What's the exchange rate today? What was the price of diesel then? What is the price of diesel today? So we must understand all these issues and know that if we are serious about fighting this war, we need to take the battle to these people. We need to be ready to spend money. We need to get everyone to rally around our military and know that Nigeria is our war, and it's not a war for only the military, it's a war for all Nigerians.
Well, how are you going to pay for it? You say you're going to employ more military officers. You say we should tax the rich to pay for it. But how do you tax the rich in a country where most rich people don't pay taxes? Out of the billionaires we have in this country, and probably you are also a billionaire, not up to 200 billionaires pay 20 million income tax. And as a presidential candidate, will you release your tax audits, to show people that I'm truly Nigerian, I'm different, and I pay income tax? I mean, for somebody that can spend $180,000 to Dubai for holidays 9 years ago, a lot of people argue that you shouldn't be paying anything less than income taxes and all of that.
Yes, Rufai, you're probably richer than I am, I'll tell you that. But yes, I will definitely release my taxes. I will definitely ensure that the rich pay their taxes in the new Nigeria. You must understand that people don't pay taxes because the government does not ensure they pay taxes, and that most people feel like, why should I pay taxes in a country where my country really gives nothing back to me? So it's a contract between the governed and those who govern them. When people believe that they get their value in taxes, people will start paying taxes. I will ensure that the rich pay taxes, they pay adequate taxes. That must be done. But not just the rich. We have to ensure that every Nigerian who is taxable, who is within that tax bracket, that they all pay taxes. That's the only way we can help our country. Everyone must pay their taxes. Again, you talk about subsidy earlier on. The money we say that is being stolen will be used to fund the war. When we start winning the war, the middle class who are jetting out of this country every day in droves, they will stop leaving Nigeria. They will start staying here and will trap their income here and will use that income to start rebuilding Nigeria.
Okay, Mr. Dumebi, I'd like to say a big thank you for your time. Thank you so much.